told y'all about this, all right? For the past couple of months, I've been very quiet, but I've been going through a lot of stuff that I keep to myself. First thing first, this guy, right, is upset because I sent his girlfriend text messages of him begging me, saying he was gonna take away his life, begging me, saying he's gonna take away my life. Blocked you, even though I know you was gonna go to Atlanta, and I was like, I didn't want to know what you was doing out there. I told you I blocked. You was calling me all private numbers all morning. You was calling my mom.
It looks like Offset may be going through a difficult time, as Cardi B recently revealed he's been sending her emotional messages, saying he can't live without her and urging her to leave Stefon. What began as a messy breakup has now taken a much darker turn. Cardi says she's doing her best to protect her peace, but Offset's emotional distress is making that nearly impossible. And the most troubling part is it might only be the beginning. Offset has always had a public image that fluctuated between carefree and chaotic, but what's happening now feels very different. In late March 2025, Cardi B went live on X and shocked fans with her claims that Offset had been sending her alarming texts, not just asking for a second chance, but expressing intense emotional pressure if she didn't respond the way he wanted.
Right? For the past couple of months, I've been very quiet, but I've been going through a lot of stuff that I keep to myself. First thing first, this guy, right, is upset because I sent his girlfriend text messages of him begging me, saying he was gonna take away his life, begging me, saying he's gonna take away my life.
This was shocking coming from a man who, for months, had acted as if he had emotionally checked out. Offset had been portraying himself as indifferent, as though he didn't care who Cardi dated or how she chose to move on.
Hey, what's up, Twin? Cut the light on. Yeah, man, I just want to let y'all folks know we having know what I mean? It's here. I'm going up out of this, though. Y'all live with that.
But behind closed doors, it seemed like a very different story was playing out, and from all indications, this wasn't a one-time emotional outburst at all. Cardi says the calls and texts didn't stop. In fact, they've been ongoing, relentless, abusive, obsessive, and unsettling. It's the kind of behavior that suggests Offset isn't ready to let go, even if he won't admit that publicly. His silence online is starting to feel less like indifference and more like a smokescreen for something darker, something Cardi is now choosing to expose. One of the most revealing moments came when she shared that she had reached out to Offset's current girlfriend, rumored to be Melanie Jada, a model seen with him during a luxury shopping trip in Dubai. Cardi claims she forwarded Offset's alarming messages to her, not out of spite, but as a wake-up call. That decision reportedly sent Offset into a rage. According to Cardi, he completely lost it when he found out. Ironically, this came just days after he allegedly sent explicit, revenge content to the new partner of someone Cardi had been rumored to be linked to. The hypocrisy wasn't lost on anyone, and the alleged harassment didn't stop there. Cardi opened up about the disturbing patterns that have defined the past few months. She described how Offset becomes especially volatile whenever she travels. She says he floods her with voice notes filled with cruel insults, attempting to chip away at her self-esteem. Some of the messages, she says, were explicit and humiliating, designed not just to upset her, but to break her. Even more concerning, she claims Offset would FaceTime her while he was with his new girlfriend, almost as if to provoke her and control her emotions from a distance. It's heartbreaking to hear, especially from someone who, despite all her fame and boldness, is clearly exhausted. Cardi described it bluntly: emotional abuse. She spoke of revenge content, obsessive voicemails, and months of psychological warfare that, in her words, wore her down. This wasn't about jealousy or drama anymore. It was about safety, boundaries, and a woman trying to reclaim her peace while being dragged back into chaos.
Was mad. He's mad about that. Mind you, this man sent text messages to somebody that I was dealing with me and him having. That's the topic I've been dealing with for the past 2 months. Every time he knows that I go out of town, he harasses me. He leaves me voice notes, trying to put my self-esteem to the ground, and I'm so...
Cardi has already dropped hints earlier in the year. Back in January, she publicly accused Offset, and even his mother, of robbing her. The details were vague, but the tone was heavy. Around that same time, she also pointed out how Offset had distanced himself from their children. She claimed he skipped out on holiday time with them, even while showing up for his other kids and showering them with gifts. It left many fans wondering, was this about the kids, or was it a deliberate attempt to hurt Cardi? Everything seems to point to one thing: control. From the constant messages to the final neglect, it's clear that Offset's behavior hasn't just been emotionally chaotic, it's been calculated. Cardi's fans have started describing it as coercive control, and it's not hard to see why. The cycles of apology, guilt, humiliation, and psychological manipulation follow a clear and deeply unhealthy pattern. Sources close to Cardi suggest that the latest spiral might have a very specific trigger: Stefon Diggs. Apparently, Offset isn't just hurt by Cardi moving on, he's furious. The idea of her being with someone else, especially someone high-profile like Diggs, seems to have pushed him over the edge. That's reportedly why he's been begging her to cut off the relationship. And when that didn't work, the messages got darker. The threats escalated. Now, the world is watching as Offset spirals publicly in ways he never really has before. According to people close to the situation, Offset has been pleading with Cardi to forgive him. He's reportedly been asking for another chance, promising to change, and urging her not to finalize the divorce. But Cardi doesn't seem convinced. She's been there before. In 2020, she filed for divorce for the first time, citing infidelity. They reconciled briefly, and she gave him another chance, tried to rebuild. But by last year, it became clear that things hadn't truly changed. This time, the breakdown isn't just about cheating. It's about absence, emotionally, financially, and as a parent. Cardi says she's been the one covering everything: the kids' school fees, their security, childcare, all of it. Meanwhile, Offset, she claims, couldn't even be bothered to show up. And it's not just about her. It's betrayal. And for Cardi, that betrayal seems to be the final straw. Now, with Offset threatening to unalive himself, the situation has taken a disturbing turn. Cardi seems resolute. She's no longer entertaining the illusion that things can be fixed with a few apologies. She's been clear. He's not sorry. He hasn't changed, and she refuses to let guilt drag her back into something that broke her. For Cardi B, it seems like this divorce isn't just a legal process. It's her way of protecting herself, her kids, and her peace. Offset's meltdown has reached a point where it's impossible to ignore. And honestly, it's starting to look less like heartbreak and more like unraveling. It reportedly started when he saw a photo of his son, Wave, wearing the same braided hairstyle as Stefon Diggs, the NFL star rumored to be Cardi B's new man. While this seemingly innocent image sent Offset into a rage, he wasn't just upset, he snapped. Publicly. He took to X and started firing off angry posts, making veiled threats and openly questioning how he was supposed to react when somebody plays with his kid. In one now-deleted post, he even wrote, "That was somebody died for playing with my son. It called me the crash out." But it wasn't just about the braids. That photo was a symbol, a sign that someone else was moving into a space he once held, not just as Cardi's partner, but as a father figure to his son. That image, paired with a now viral yacht video of Cardi twerking on Stefon while he playfully slapped her behind, seemed to break something in Offset for sure. The couple looked carefree, in love, unbothered. All while Offset was out here crashing out, losing control, and trying to remind the world why he still mattered in Cardi's life. But the truth? The world is watching, and the energy has shifted. Behind the scenes, things only grew more intense. Cardi revealed that after receiving threatening texts from Offset, she forwarded them to his girlfriend, a model named Melanie Jada, who was spotted with him in Dubai on a luxury shopping spree. That move pushed Offset over the edge. He was furious, but Cardi stood by her decision. Why? Because Offset had allegedly done something far worse. She says he sent explicit revenge content to Stefon Diggs in a jealous rage. Cardi later shared that whenever she travels, Offset goes into a tailspin. He reportedly bombards her with voice notes, most of them cruel and degrading, designed to chip away at her confidence. And it wasn't just a slip-up or a bad night. It was months of psychological warfare, disguised as remorse. The situation grew darker when Cardi described how this ongoing harassment affected her mentally. In a brutally honest X Spaces session, she told fans that the marriage had completely drained her, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Interview. Things clearly hadn't changed, and it reached a point where, in her own words, "I was going to end up going to jail because I was going to end up killing them, seriously, with my bare hands." That level of transparency struck a chord with fans, many of whom now interpret Offset's recent behavior not as heartbreak, but as a form of control. Just when it seemed like he might be calming down, Offset suddenly deactivated both his Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, accounts. No warning, no explanation, just gone.
Last year, I really felt like I was going crazy. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Like, my baby came out 5 pounds. A healthy baby. No.
It was the kind of move that screams emotional damage. Publicly, he was trying to disappear. Privately, sources say he's struggling to deal with Cardi's growing bond with Stefon and the fact that the relationship might be beyond repair. But what truly stunned people was that, amid all the chaos, Offset reportedly asked for child support, despite Cardi being the one covering nearly all the children's needs, from private schooling to full-time security. It's Cardi who's footing the bill.
Things with Offset and Cardi. Offset has now deleted his Instagram and his X account. His X account currently pulls up as this account does not exist and you can't even...
She's worth an estimated $80 to $100 million, while Offset sits around maybe $30 million. Yet somehow, he walked into court asking for more. Word on the street is that the court handed down joint custody but awarded primary residence to Cardi, aiming for stability for the kids. Yet the irony wasn't lost on anyone. How could he demand support when, by Cardi's account, he's been absent? She hasn't held back either. Lately, Cardi has been publicly calling Offset out for being emotionally and financially unavailable. According to her, he hasn't shown up, not for the kids, not for their lives, not for her. While she's balancing chart-topping success, single motherhood, and relentless media scrutiny, she says Offset has been more concerned with appearances than presence. Fatherhood isn't about Instagram captions or birthday shoutouts, she said. It's about showing up. By that measure, Offset has allegedly failed, again and again. For Cardi, the marriage didn't just break, it eroded slowly over time. She's talked about the emotional labor she carried, how she tried to maintain appearances, and how she shielded their kids from the dysfunction. Now, free from the pressure to pretend, she's been vocal, labeling him a deadbeat dad, confronting him publicly, and more importantly, reclaiming her peace and time. Interview. The internet isn't exactly unified in its sympathy. Some people still believe Offset is genuinely remorseful. They argue that his public spiral is a reflection of regret, not control. Others, however, bring up long-standing rumors about Cardi's timeline with Stefon Diggs, specifically whether their romance might have overlapped with her final months with Offset. Back then, Cardi was 8 months pregnant, and fans were already speculating that she and Diggs were quietly involved. When someone online jumped in saying these industry women are paying Diggs to be with them, and that Diggs is smashing other rappers, it only fueled the fire. And if that's true, some say Offset's pain runs deeper than a bruised ego. Maybe it's betrayal. But even with that all considered, most agree his recent actions have crossed the line. The threats, the online outbursts, and the alleged revenge content, it's hard to see this as anything but coercive behavior. Even those who once defended him are starting to question the intent behind the theatrics. Now, as Cardi and Diggs continue to be spotted together, laughing on yachts, holding hands at events, and generally appearing unbothered, Offset is being publicly dragged, accused of weaponizing mental health as a means to manipulate. Some aren't buying it, not because they don't believe Offset could be struggling, but because the timing, the patterns, and the public meltdowns all suggest something else. A desperate attempt to regain control over a situation he no longer holds power in. And the truth is, he had chances. Cardi gave him chance after chance. She stayed, forgave, tried again. But now that door seems closed, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. For Cardi B, this isn't just about moving on with someone new. It's about finally putting herself and her kids first. The online community has been loud. One user wrote, "Offset is not hurt. He's just losing control over her and doesn't know how to deal with it. A person like him doesn't love anybody." Another said, "No, I said he absolutely did this. I hate rare dudes that won't do right by you, but won't let you go." While another put it very bluntly, "Sending revenge to your ex, the literal mother of your children, aimed at her new man is the goofiest thing I've heard in my 31 years on this earth." But what do you think? Is Offset truly heartbroken? Or is this just another attempt to control the narrative? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the latest celebrity tea. I'll see y'all in the next one. It looks like Offset may be going through a difficult time, as Cardi B recently revealed he's been sending her emotional messages, saying he can't live without her and urging her to leave Stefon. What began as a messy breakup has now taken a much darker turn. Cardi says she's doing her best to protect her peace, but Offset's emotional distress is making that nearly impossible.